What is going on, Kingdom Hearts fans? It's your boy Amaziah here, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys some news from Tetsuya Nomura being in some new interviews about Kingdom Hearts 3, in which he will elaborate on a few things, especially the last bit of information I think is going to be a little bit saddening for a lot of people because, of course, this puts every character besides the main trio in a room of holy shit, will we see these motherfuckers again? So let's go ahead and get into it. Players are now able to carry 3 Keyblades. Moreover, they can retain their transformation. Was this done also with the thought of choice in mind? And Nomura said, yes, besides just making a new personal system for the Keyblade, we wanted people to enjoy playing even when they didn't want to use a Keyblade, while giving accomplished players more ways to stand up to the challenge and increase their effectiveness. We prepared for various options when backed into a tight situation, weighed with the management of the different forms. So if you remember Tetsuya Nomura, I put up a video on this. If you remember, Tetsuya Nomura spoke about how certain Keyblades don't transform and those Keyblades will give you new abilities. Well, I definitely get from here that, of course, what they did with these Keyblades, and the reason why we can carry 3 of them is because essentially I feel like what they're going to be doing is those new abilities that you can get from the Keyblades that don't transform, you can mix them up, and everyone wants combo modifiers back in Kingdom Hearts 3, and I feel like until you receive the modifier from the Keyblade transformation, then of course I definitely feel like what you can do is actually mix things up and come up with your own combos, and this leads to a level of player choice that actually integrates multiple Keyblades. It gives us a reason to use more Keyblades, and it kind of adds more personality and style to Keyblade transformations, and I can definitely see this working out in earlier stages of the game, potentially not later, but earlier stages I can definitely see it, because of course as you think about it, enemies will be a little bit weaker than they will be later on within the game if the game is balanced right. Definitely, I can see enemies at the beginning of the game potentially being a little bit weaker, but of course, as we progress and go forward, then of course enemies will get harder and harder. But with the Keyblade transformations that we can get, let's say if, of course, the modifier is attached to the transformation until you level it up enough, because we do know that there will be a leveling system for Keyblade transformations, apparently. Of course, I don't know. We don't know if what he meant by that all of those years and stuff, because he said it from like 2015 to like 2017. He hasn't elaborated since that. Potentially what that means is that, of course, the Keyblade transformation can take up multiple forms, and that's what he meant by leveling it. But if the Keyblade actually does level up and the transformation does receive some kind of changes, then what we could potentially see from that is that, of course, the growth abilities will come from the Keyblade transformations, but it'll be the modifiers that essentially are the growth abilities. And at the beginning of the game, you'll have the ability to use these combos, but you can mix and mash them up so that way you can come up with your own personal style of playing the game. If you remember, Kingdom Hearts 2 was definitely panned by casuals to be a hack and slash game because of the Keyblade and stuff. You know, they didn't understand that there was magic there. They didn't understand that there was Magnega, Firaga, the fucking drive forms, which allowed you to change up your whole combat style. You know, they added new levels of verticality and viability when it comes to the combos and things that you can do. Of course, a lot of people didn't understand that those options were there and how much those options affected things, especially when it comes to like summons and limits and stuff. So Kingdom Hearts 2 was definitely panned as a hack and slash game. Now when it comes to Kingdom Hearts 3, it seems like they're trying to find a way to mitigate that system while also coming up with a new way for us as you know, not accomplished players, as Tetsuya Nomura would say. It definitely seems like they're trying to come up with a new way for us to actually, you know, get engaged with the combat while at the same time coming up with a way for new players to actually enjoy what the hell they're playing. Because with Keyblade transformations, holy shit, you know, this thing can actually become the Hyper Hammer. You know, every time they see the Hyper Hammer, holy shit, let me whip this out, bro. This shit is super powerful. But when it comes to accomplished players like ourselves, then of course we may not want to use the Hyper Hammer. Maybe we'll use the Keyblades that don't transform, which potentially gives us combos and stuff that we can flow through switching the Keyblade on the fly when it comes to rest periods between the combos that the Keyblades actually give us. And then of course we can actually switch and move on to the next combo. And as we progress, then of course with the leveling of the Keyblade and the Keyblade transformation, potentially we could get combo modifiers from the Keyblades that do not transform. So I think that that would be a pretty cool system, but maybe I'm just overthinking it, and maybe of course Square Enix literally was just like, yo, just throw the Keyblade transformations in there. That's how we'll do the modifiers, so that way we don't have to worry about like how everything connects into a combo. They can worry about that shit. But I'm hoping that that's what it is, because I mean, there's little bitty pieces of information that kind of hints to that being the case, but there's nothing definitively that says that that's the system they're working on. It just seems to make sense from, I guess, you know, someone who actually has played Kingdom Hearts 2 and, you know, is trying to learn, like, you know, the new ways of play and stuff, and actually furthering myself when it comes to the depth of Kingdom Hearts 2. Definitely, I feel like that's what he's saying here, because there's a leveling system. Of course, there's abilities that are going to come from non-transforming Keyblades. The Keyblade transformations that we've actually seen thus far, besides second form, are themed Keyblades. So there's the world that's based off of course, Yensid. I mean, there's the Keyblade that's based off of Yensid, the Keyblade that's based off of Toy Box, the Keyblade that's based off Arendelle, and of course, all of those Keyblades transform into something that's transformative of the Keyblade itself. But when it comes to the Kingdom Key, it won't transform, and there will be more keys like the Kingdom Key that does not transform. So definitely it does sound like that's what he's saying here. It seems like everything is in place for that to essentially be the system. We'll just have to wait and see. The next thing he would talk about here is the Dream Eaters, in which he was asked utilizing all the types of Dream Waters. Now, Dream Waters essentially is just Dream Eaters, and Nomura had this to say: yes, I intended to add a lot, but when the staff saw all the things I wanted to include, they said it was impossible. With that, I tried to see if I could fill up the Meow Wow link with as many Dream Eaters as I could. Now, I found this interesting because essentially what he's saying here is that we could have gotten a lot more Dream Eaters. Meow Wow was the one they went with. It definitely is the poster Dream. It's the second poster Dream Eater, or it's one of the two poster Dream Eaters for Dream Drop Distance. But the reason why they went with Meow Wow, and he spoke about it, was because, of course, they had tried to put in a lot of different ones, but the one that was always left was Meow Wow, who was pretty simple. You know, you ride on him as you attack and as you fight. So, you know, it was pretty simple to just, like, you know, have Meow Wow just bounce around. But when it came to the ending of Meow Wow's summon or his link, what they wanted to do was actually have as many of them as possible, or what he wanted to do was have as many of them as possible pour out onto the screen, essentially kind of being exactly like what we saw at the Inner Dream Drop Distance, in which Sora goes back to the dream world, and then, of course, he sees all of the Dream Eaters once again. And that's essentially what he wanted, because, you know, he did make friends with all of the Dream Eaters when he went back, and who knows what the hell he did when he went back. Maybe he did some training, maybe he did some kind of course, staying with the Dream Eaters, so that way his heart can get a little bit more healing and stuff from being in their presence and them actually consuming the nightmares and stuff, because that's what affected him. The nightmares, of course, there was a nightmare that had affected him, and it essentially put him to sleep. And I think that that's why he went back, maybe to, you know, just to make sure that all of that darkness was gone and he was good to go. But when it comes to this situation, I'm definitely enjoying the fact that, of course, we get to see Meow Wow again. One of my favorite ones. If Riku is playable, I hope his Dream Eater is the fucking is the bat, nigga. Oh my god, I think it was called the Kukumori. The Kukumori bat. That shit would be fucking amazing, man. I would love to see that bat again. Now, coming into, like, you know, just some tidbits of information. These aren't really, like, of course, quotes, but these are tidbits of information that came from an interview in which Nomura would actually elaborate that more info on the new Organization 13. So apparently they are called the new Organization 13, will be revealed bits at a time leading to Kingdom Hearts 3's release, and that those who play Kingdom Hearts Union Cross and Kingdom Hearts 3 will get a better understanding about Marluxia. So it seems like going forward, Kingdom Hearts Union Cross will actually start to feature more information about Marluxia, or Laurium. So definitely Laurium is Marluxia. They are the same person because if you played Union Cross, you will learn more about Laurium. So I'm thinking that this does have something to do with like, Laurium potentially meeting Xehanort or potentially knowing Xehanort, because Xehanort did mention that he does know of other unions besides him and Ericus and their master. He does know of more of them besides they themselves. So definitely I could see it being because he met Laurium. But whether or not that has something to do with what happened to Ventus, who the hell actually knows? And another thing too about Marluxia and of course Laurium is I wonder what's going to happen when we go forward. And of course you actually think about Chain of Memories. What was the whole coup situation about? Was that organization members that were actually chosen to be part of the 13 Seekers, and of course they actually did the whole coup situation so that Axel could get rid of them, and I'm using air quotes, you just can't see it, to get rid of them. And of course they actually go into whatever the hell happens with, like, putting Xehanort's heart within them and stuff. Maybe that's what happened to them. I'm not sure. I'm hoping that that's not the case, because that would kind of make the plot of like Chain of Memories would easily become the most useless game within the series, because we didn't need to know about them at all. They could have just saved it and been like, yo, here's some organization members that you've never seen before that actually became part Xehanort. This is why they were called the Organization 13, because of these members that you couldn't see. I think that would have been more interesting. I mean, even if we saw them in Days, and of course there was like little hints of them in Days, I think that that's what they should have did. They should have like started Days with during the events of Chain of Memories to where they're gone. And then of course Axel himself comes back, but the rest of them do not return. And it's kind of like, okay, well, we still don't know who they are. That would have left like some kind of mystery to them. But of course we will learn about like Marluxia / Laurium in Union Cross, and of course how things lead up to Kingdom Hearts 3. Now the final piece of information. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm pretty sure y'all saw this shit on Twitter. So the final piece of information says, this is from Nomura. This is a direct quote. So the last thing wasn't a direct quote. This one is. It says, yes, it does. Yes, it does come to an end, but I'm not fully swayed to one emotion. I'm not really happy, I'm not really sad. Although I do feel a little sad when I think some characters will probably never appear ever again. Once I think about that, it makes me a little sad, but other than that, I'm just more relieved that I was able to tell the full story. So as we know, Kingdom Hearts 3 will be the ending of the Xehanort saga. Not the series, but the Xehanort saga. And this right here led a lot of people to just automatically like being like, yo, Riku's gonna die, son. This also led to a lot of people being like, yo, some of our favorite characters are gonna die. But when you think about it, I mean, we know that Xehanort is going to meet his end, because this is the end of the Xehanort saga. And of course, young Xehanort, Master Xehanort, characters that Nomura has spoken about a couple of times, and that he actually empathizes with them more than Sora. I think he said it once in 2013 or 2014, and then he said it again this year. So he definitely empathizes with him more than Sora. He's one of those people who, he kind of emo, I guess you could say. But when it comes to Xehanort, I mean, Xehanort has been the lead of everything, all of these events. Of course, other characters as well. The characters within Radiant Garden, the characters of the Organization 13. I mean, Marluxia may still be around, but the rest of the characters, think about it. They're essentially, that's it. This is it for them. I mean, when you think about the characters in Radiant Garden besides the Final Fantasy characters, the whole reason they're tied to all of this is because of Terranord. And due to that fact, of course, Terranord and him becoming Ansem and things like that, that led to them essentially becoming a part of the Organization 13. That led to them becoming nobodies due to the experiment. But once we resolve all of this, of course, Ansem the Wise, potentially his story arc will be resolved, and he'll be able to actually, of course, help them out with the data that he put within Sora. And then, of course, as things actually come to a close with Kingdom Hearts 3, what other reason do these characters have to get engaged into the plot anymore? And this could also go for characters like, and this sad to say because it's one of my favorite characters, this could also go for characters like Roxas as well. Potentially, Roxas will put the Keyblade down and go live a normal life with Lee and potentially Xion if she returns as well, which is more than likely because she was in Recoded. But I don't think that this necessarily means that anyone that we love is going to die. I think Nomura is just ready to put a lot of character stories down. I think he's ready to lay them down. Um, give them one final swing in the series, and then of course lay them down. We know that we will be moving into the next saga, potentially the Dark Master saga with the Master of Masters, and of course, as of course things come to a close, he wants to put a lot of character stories down. There won't be a reason to integrate the characters from Radiant Garden anymore. I mean, yeah, they're smart, they're brilliant, they definitely have a lot of information, but they won't be as viable as they are now. Now we're going to move into new territory. Potentially, if Ephemera and Scold are going to make up parts of the Seven Guardians, as we know, Aqua, and of course potentially Ventus now, and obviously Terra, they're all fall into the darkness potentially. So when it comes to, of course, who all can join the Seven Guardians now, I'm definitely looking at Ephemera and Scold, which could be the link and the tie into, of course, the events of the next saga with the Master of Masters, as of course they may potentially know about the Master of Masters, and maybe they've been doing some detective research, and maybe that's where they've been all of this time. They've been trying to find the Master of Masters, and if they come into Kingdom Hearts 3, help with the Keyblade War, and then, tell Sora and them about the Master of Masters, or Yen said about the Master of Masters, and ask him, can the stars reveal where the hell he is, then that could lead to the next saga, in which of course we find out what the Master of Masters truly did that caused the Keyblade War, and the Book of Prophecies and how it's evil. We know that potentially a Book of Prophecies may appear once again from Kingdom Hearts Recoded, and of course potentially, we're going to be heading into the next saga. A lot of these character stories need to be put down to make room for newer characters. If not, we're going to be coming up on, I think, probably 60 something fucking characters, because the games right now have I think 20 to 30 characters that are important to the story, especially with Kingdom Hearts 3's story. But when it comes to going into the next saga, we'll have that number minus the 13, so we'll probably be at 17, and then of course we'll have a whole nother set of characters again. So definitely I think it's cool that he wants to put some character story to rest. This doesn't necessarily mean anyone is going to die. It could though, because I mean, Riku's character arc has already come full circle, so who knows what the bro, he better not kill my boy. But this has been your boy Amaziah. Don't forget to do a little A-class gaming, and everything you do, don't forget to keep it A-class. I hope you guys enjoyed all of today's news and my thoughts on them, and I hope you guys got something from it. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at AmaziahYT, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace the heck out. What's left of me? What's left of me? And you and I, there's a new life.